education in detail, and we are already excited to have you. But just to start with Ms. Oplot, how is Global Institute?
Well, Global Institute is great. Making a contribution in the skilling area. And we try our best to identify skill sets which we believe, not just believe, which we have seen over the last 12 years to be addressing specific industry needs. And that means that we impart skills that are on demand. Yes. So
now, actually, you said it. What are those skills that are more on demand? Are there specific skills that are on a higher demand compared to others?
I honestly would like, with all due respect, I would like to disagree. I don't believe that there are skills which are more needed than others. As long as a need, as long as a skill meets a human need, it serves the interests of a neighbor, it can solve a problem in some sector, some industry, all skills are needed. Yes, I do agree to some extent that there may be areas that are probably more, what's the word? I'm losing my vocabulary. More fancy. They look posh. They're flashy. But let me tell you that any area in Uganda, in fact in the world, if anybody perfects their art, if somebody puts their mind to it, and becomes what we call in Kampala the guru, a kafulu in that specific area, and it could be very small as fitting headlamps in vehicles. Just you may think, you mean that's, I can assure you, if you took two out of 5 vehicles, if you took them to a testing center to see whether the lights are focusing well, you'll be shocked. So there is need in almost any area. Anybody who perfects their art, could be in, you see Rolex, how Rolex started. People perfecting the art of making chapati along with eggs, and to become an international thing. Yes, so it's not true. I think earlier before we started the program, remember I said that if you wanted today, if you try to get somebody who can paint for you, I can see the studio is fairly well done. It must have taken you time to identify the right person. We have had to repaint a building, some school somewhere, more than once, at least twice, because people think painting is just getting paint and a brush, and then you come and apply.
Mix, then start applying.
That's what they think.
Yes.
Within a day, within a month, it's all peeling off. Even the basic knowledge that you have to clean the wall, get it clean before, or make it rough, whatever language they use, before the fresh paint can stick. That basic is lacking. It's a symptom of challenges and shortages across the board. So the issue is not about which area. The issue is, do we have Ugandans who are dedicated, who are patient, acquiring specific skills? It may look like a tiny little area, but let me tell you, once you become the expert there, you will not be able to meet the demand. And the demand is there. The demand is there. Think about anything. Maybe a carpenter, maybe you want a bed, maybe you want a door, maybe you want a door frame, maybe you want, think of anything. Maybe you want to fix a wheelbarrow, somebody to weld. It's not obvious that you'll get the person who does that well. And when you do get the person who does that well, it's not always true or possible that you get that person at the time you want that person. Most likely they will be fully booked up because there's such a massive shortage of skills. There is an abundance of people who hold paper qualifications. There's a massive abundance of people who have gone through college, university, shamefully, even through vocational institutions, with hardly any skill.
Wow. We were still following. Now, Mrs. Oplot, getting into the image of Global Institute and the nature of students you receive, what are the most yearned for courses offered there?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mukalazi. There are several courses that are yearned for, and like you say, these days actually it is IT.
Okay.
IT seems to be highly demanded for. Business courses a bit. Then some of the vocational and technical courses. Some. Yeah, but majorly the IT courses. Yeah.
I remember last time you actually differentiated for us between vocational and technical.
Yes.
I believe that still sticks in the minds of our audience. But still talking about technical education.
Maybe just to interrupt a bit.
Yes, please.
The reason why IT is demanded today, so much demanded, is because of its cross-cutting use. Whether you're talking about a studio like this, whether you're talking about, think about anything that you want to do, IT has become so critical. And now, when you're talking about this new age of robotics, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, there's an infusion of IT in basically every sector of life, even at home. I think you're comfortable in the studio because probably your home has cameras, so somebody is monitoring real time. So that's why IT, no one goes wrong. But not just getting a paper. Again, like I said earlier, it's identifying a niche, identifying a little area in the broad spectrum, and perfecting your art, and then there you get it. Be it networking, be it photography, be it web design, be it web development, those two are different, be it whatever it is, get it properly done. Could be just fixing computers, just troubleshooting. Where do you go first? When a computer has stopped working, where do you go first? Whatever it is, perfect it. And then you'll die. Well, you shouldn't die of work.
Actually, just to add on to that, I think IT, no wonder Ministry of Education, or let's say NCDC, it has IT as one of the core subjects, and it is, so to say, it is a compulsory subject.
In the new curriculum?
Which is now at tertiary level.
Okay.
Yeah, it is one of the compulsory courses that are supposed to be done by each and every one. But what is amazing is that some of the students who come in, if they have not been enlightened and educated about it, they'll always say, well, me, I came for tailoring. What is IT for? Not knowing that the era is, demands that you have knowledge of that. So, like Mr. Oplot has been saying, it is important because now it is fused in almost all aspects of life. Yeah. So it is important that each and everyone knows something, has an idea about it. Yeah.
Okay.
The idea that I am just a tailor. I don't need IT. It's sad. It's extremely sad because just to mention one example, there is what we call computer-aided design.
Yes.
CAD. When you go to do embroidery, when you want a logo on your shirt or something, it's all computerized.
Yeah.
You have to pre-feed the formula, to pre-feed a design on the computer, and then the machine will do exactly what it has been programmed to do.
Yeah.
So when you see things glittering, like every little dot is in place, these are things coming from outside. It's all about computing. So I think we need to educate our people, and we need to be a bit more open to new ideas and to stretch our imagination. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oplot. Actually, I was going to give an example of embroidery when I went to Chiembe down there to do some work, and they took me into a number of series. Now this has to be, I don't even remember the language, graphicized and then such things. And before you know, you realize that IT is really necessary, because now graphicizing this logo and then doing this.
Sorry. And do you know who's doing that in Chiembe and all of these streets?
Taylor.
People have not even been to school.
Yes.
Because our graduates are looking for some fancy job somewhere.
Exactly.
You know, they think IT means, you know, you're the network manager, you know, you're the, whatever those fancy titles are, you know, the database manager. The money is there as well, but the quickest money is in the practical application. Practical application.
Okay.
If every car has a computer, I'm not an expert, so if I get it wrong, viewers forgive me. But every car is powered by some computing technology, by some central computer somewhere. That's where the challenge is in this country. If your car develops issues with that area, most likely it's done. There's hardly anybody who has the skills and the competence to handle. So if people just sat down and looked for areas, I was in a meeting with PSFU, organizing a meeting with, I think, the World Bank. They were looking for funding for women projects. Well, I went there to attend on behalf of you-know-who.
Okay, of course.
So one of the areas that they pointed out in that area, first of all, they want to support women-owned or women-dominated, for lack of a better word, women-dominated businesses. Yeah, but the point I'm trying to raise is that they discovered that not just women, but a lot of Ugandans actually don't know how to leverage technology. Even this simple phone, we don't have an example here, even just this simple mobile phone, how to manage a business, how to reach out to customers, how to do simple advertising. Never mind, there are so many applications, they call them apps, already there. All you need to do is just download an app, take a few minutes to learn how it works, and you're able to generate advertising and marketing materials to reach your market. A lot of us are very, very green about that. And businesses are not doing as well as they should be, or we are being forced to take advertising with media which are very expensive, and the business is not at that level yet where it can afford that kind of advertising. And we can't leverage on simple issues of IT based on the phone. So if a young man decided that, for me, I am going to master this, and I'm going to find anybody who is struggling. In fact, this is a true story. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop there, but this is a true story. I was trying to do some online processing of documentation with URSB, and I was fidgeting with all this knowledge. I was fidgeting. There was a young, strategic, smart young man at a corner. He was watching. And he realized, he saw me sweating, saw me looking at the ceiling, and he smartly walked to me. He knew there was a need there. He came and he was very smart. His people skills excellent. He made me feel at home. And before I knew it, I had handed over all my paperwork to him. True to his skills, he was able to deliver for me the job within 30 minutes.
Wow.
When he didn't even ask me soda. No. It was obvious. He had met my need. I was extremely happy. I had saved the time. He had saved me the sweating and embarrassment. I will not tell you how much I paid, but I gave him money. So why are we unemployed in this year? Why are people unemployed in this country? Why? Why are they unemployed? Why?
It's just perfecting your
Exactly. Exactly. Now, Mrs. Oplot, even as we talk about technical education and all these skills, you realize that according to the setting of the new curriculum, we pray that it meets the objectives. But according to this setting, it is competence-based. In other words, it's assumed that by the end of the 4 years, a learner should at least have a competence that can help them meet at least meet something in the market.
Community.
Yes. Isn't this now leveraging on your abilities as the technical institutions?
Well, like you said, that it is being encouraged. Not encouraged, but that is the way to go. And thanks to God that the Ministry of Education has taken it on. And I think we can just live side by side, which is important, and it is helping them to the secondary school children. They are going to come out when they have done something. You know, they call them projects.
Yes.
They are doing projects. And now for us at technical, at tertiary level, we'll simply polish what it is that they have done at secondary level. So we actually need to support each other. Previously, they would be totally green.
Okay.
By the time they come at the tertiary level, they don't know at all. Now, at this point, we'll simply polish up and make it better, just like Ms. Oplot has been saying. We need somebody to be a lot better, such that when they go to the field, they are super, so to say, you know, than where it was previously when somebody, you know, was still green. So it's actually an advantage that at secondary level, they've started on it, and then at tertiary level, we shall be just you know, complementing and making it better. Remember, at secondary level, they have so many projects that they might be
engaged in.
You know, engaged in. Then the final one will be one. The one that is going to be maybe awarded or rewarded, it will be one. But they will have as if gambled with quite a number. So at the point of tertiary, this person will just be making it better what it is that they will have started on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Then, Ms. Oplot, how does this kind of education, I mean the technical and vocational education, differ from the traditional academic education, especially in preparing individuals for employment?
Let me make a statement. There is one of the main causes of unemployment among the youth or fresh graduates, maybe humanity generally, particularly in Uganda, is the mismatch between the traditional training education, that traditional education, the mismatch between the traditional education, the skills imparted, if at all there are any, I think there's so much theory, the skills imparted through the traditional education and what actually is needed by employers. There's a mismatch. I use the word traditional, which is the question you're asking. Yes. So what is the difference therefore? That's where vocational technical education comes in. It comes in, first of all, it does not necessarily follow the traditional approach. You come from primary school, you go to senior 4, you go to senior 6, you go to a university degree, maybe a master's, PhD, and then begin, you know, looking for a big job, a big office, they call them white collar jobs, and, you know, big car, escorts and so on, dog allowance and cat allowance, you know, Edwin, you know the things. So vocational technical education can still achieve all those privileges and all that pomp and all that wealth and all that influence. It can, but it doesn't necessarily follow that trend. What it does is whatever level, could be P7, could be senior 4, could be senior 6. In fact, it could even be a graduate. And then you decide you will perfect yourself in a specific set of skills in a given industry. Excuse me. And so that specific skill is what you then use you employ either in the formal sector, or you can go informal, or you can start your own thing. Yeah, that's the whole difference. In other words, technical vocational education, the set of skills is determined by industry players, by tertiary institutions, training institutions, and of course the regulators, government regulators, and any other stakeholder. So it's not me waking up in the morning and saying, I'm going to train people in this. The question is, then what? Are those particular skills needed? If there's a synergy, if there's a collaboration between those bodies I've mentioned, they will come up with what is actually needed. So a skill that is being imparted answers a real need.
That is.
So it means that even before these people have finished the training, already their jobs available.
Assured.
The trouble now is even vocational training, technical training, has turned into a form of the traditional, where people just come in, they attend lectures, they go into theories, they might do one or two things, they get a certificate and they go home. Then a person begins looking for a job. That is wrong. In fact, before you go to a technical institution, you should probably have already defined what you want. You should have known already that in my village, this is the shortfall of skills. So, this is the area I want to be in. I mean, it could be coming from a family of carpenters, a family of artisans, whatever. So you say, I want to get into that area. So you go for specific skills. So it is very, very unfortunate that even with all these technical institutions around, we are still having people who don't have what to do. It's because we have let down, I don't know, I'm not here to make political statements, but honestly speaking, there are many regulators.
Yes.
There's the National Council for Higher Education, there's DIT, the Directorate of Industrial Training, there is Yobuteb, Uganda Business, and many of these regulators. Have we, and I put myself in that category, have we actually vetted, come together, searched, researched, and agreed that these are the skills that are needed? This area could be education, could be agriculture, could be anything. You know, in Uganda here, for instance, people are still malnourished. And the cost of, they tell you need fruits, you need vegetables, you need protein, you need whatever. But how many of us can afford vegetables every day? In spite of Uganda being endowed. But there is urban farming. It's a simple urban farming. And people have compounds. And there's a lot you can achieve in those compounds. So I think we are letting down ourselves by not agreeing in advance what is needed. So people are going into this education the same way they are going into the traditional. This is supposed to, vocational technical education is supposed to bridge that gap between what qualities are needed and what qualities people are getting from the traditional. So there has to be that bridge.
Okay. Mrs. Oplot, just to take us, because now even as we talk about technical, talk about vocational, someone might really finding challenges in differentiating what falls under technical, what falls under vocational. I mean, which is which? Because everyone thinks that when they branch off from senior 4, just to give an example, whatever they are going for is technical, or whatever they are going for is vocational. They don't know what falls in which category. If you can help us break for us that down before we get into the next discussion, so that we can move on the same page with our viewers.
Okay. Briefly, or just to clarify in a simple way.
Yes.
Technical, I think it's more of things such as where there is acquisition of practical skills and knowledge related to specific industry or trade. And here we are looking at things such as engineering, information technology, manufacturing, construction, all that fall under technical. In my thinking, vocational therefore now goes into like catering, hotel management. Then we have fashion and design. Then we have cosmetology and beauty therapy. I think there is not really the difference is thin. Is really thin. So, but it's got to do with that.
Okay. As long as you, like Mr. Oplot said, you first of all assess the need of the society where you're coming from. So someone will say, what if we are 7 people and we are eyeing the same need? Are we not too many to fulfill that? Will the surplus not be there?
No, I think what he's trying to say or to bring out is we need to find out what is needed on the market.
Okay.
In other words, there is need for a research and find out. And by the way, that means it's not going to be the same through and through or forever and ever. It means these needs are going to revolve over and over a time. At point X, it is more of maybe food production, maybe food technology that is needed. But at point X, it is more of maybe construction. Maybe another point it is, or, you know, so let us find out what is needed on the market. Then that will be determined, and therefore the persons that are going to be churned out are those that are going to satisfy that particular need. Failure to do so, we are going to flood the market with the same category of persons, and yet they are not as needed as such, whereas those that are needed are still vacant. They are still without those particular personnels. So the point I think he's trying to bring out is, let us find out what is it that is needed on the market, and can we then produce those kinds of persons so that they're the ones who are trained in those particular areas. Look at the persons, for instance, maybe education. You have so many teachers of maybe English, English language. That means you're going to flood the market, and yet the need is not as that. So can we have a policy? I don't know whether it's a policy. Can we have a way of identifying where the need is, so that then the training satisfies that need as described in the community?
That is actually my next question to you, Mr. Oplot.
Before you go that next question.
Yes.
First of all, Edwin, you should realize, what's the population of Uganda today?
It's approximately 44 million. And
it's estimated that the national National Planning Authority. What's this estimate by 2050? I think the estimate is well in the region of 100 million.
Yes.
Even areas we think that, I'm responding to your question, that what if there are 7 of us eyeing the same area? Look, 7 of you eyeing the same area, today there might be 10 people who need those services. But look at the population growth. The next year there might be 30 of them who want. And the next year there might be 100 of them who want. So in other words, the population growth, but also within the sector there's evolution. People's tastes change. This might make sense today, but tomorrow nobody wants to look at this. So what you need, and what technical vocational education should do, is not just to give you a set of skills that are static. They should give you technical skills that you can adapt. Innovation and imagination are critical. And that takes me to the point why probably we're suffering in this sector.
Yes.
It's been condemned. It's been condemned. It's been described as the reservoir, the dumping ground for people who have failed.
Yes.
We are doing our country a disservice. Even the European economies, somebody has said, even me, I've read something about that, are dependent actually, not on people at the top there. Remember people with PhDs and masters and so on, they all go there.
At the apex.
At the apex there. Down here, you can never have so many professors down here.
True.
That's the area where technical people should be. And they should be trained, they should be equipped with the skills that are adaptable. Using technology, cutting edge technology, and computing knowledge. They should be able to innovate and come up with new things. So condemning the sector or using it as the last resort for people. In fact, I am here to make a statement today.
Yes.
If we're going to develop our country, it is high time we let the so-called the best brains that we have get into that sector.
Why?
Because they will bring innovation, imagination, they will stretch the limit, they will raise the bar. If I go into carpentry because, oh God, poor me, what could I have done anyway?
I failed.
I failed. And I can make a mingling stick. You know, anybody can make a mingling stick. I can go home feeling, well, I'm now somewhere. But look, there's so much we can do there. And let me tell you, when I was a university student, you know, there was a sofa set called Johnson set. Johnson, very simple. Now, a friend of mine, my yearmate, came to visit me at home recently and found my Johnson set somewhere under the mango tree. I don't even me had abandoned it. So it's amazing how even furniture has evolved.
Exactly.
So that sector, so even when you say that, so there can never be a saturation. The saturation comes about because we are all clamoring to make the same thing.
Yeah.
We are all clamoring to make the same. But if we are innovative and imaginative, and we are creating, I didn't do economics, but I know that sometimes demand is created because there is something there.
Yeah.
So if these people push the bar and produce new furniture, new styles, new innovation, new additions, you know, carve it this way, carve it the other side, the demand will never cease. So I don't think that would be saturation.
Okay. Actually, you talked about something that is very important, and she said that this shouldn't be the last resort. This shouldn't be a dumping set. But let's talk about the perception that the community out there has of technical education, and how does the perception of technical education impact its effectiveness, especially in reducing unemployment? Because after all, someone goes there thinking, me, I'm here because maybe my parent cannot raise money for the university, or I'm here because I got a 4th grade, or you know, they don't see the beauty out of this. They only see it because it was the resort, after all.
As spelled out by the parent. So the question is,
how? I mean, let us talk about the perception and how it really affects their performance in the field. Because when someone goes out with such a mind that I come here not out of passion, but out of you know,
desperation.
Desperation, exactly.
Yeah, of course, it's quite unfortunate when that is the mentality that seems to be in the persons around us. It's quite unfortunate. But like Mr. Oplot has said, we actually need to have the best at that point, at that level, in that particular sector, because when we have the best, it means we are going to have the creators, the innovators, the people. We shall be revolving all the time, because actually you realize that these days when you see a certain set of chairs, you see it at this point, before you know, everywhere it is what is there.
Yes.
Which means we have many copycats. You know, we don't have those people who can be able to originate something and say, I think mine is there, but for me, let me do it in this way, you know, which is quite sad. So we need the best brains that are going to be more creative than the so-called people who are not maybe so bright. And if they are not so bright, it means therefore they are not even able to create, you see. So that is the sad thing. So we need to have those persons at that point, and therefore let that mentality, let that kind of attitude be changed in the public. Let people know that actually they are the best. They are the basis. That's where the country is, you know, is relying on them. When we change that attitude and we speak to them that, by the way, you are, you know, the best in the country, that the country needs to really rely on them, because they are, whatever they are doing is what everyone needs. What everyone needs. If it is foods, I mean, is there a human being who doesn't want to eat? Everyone needs to eat. And if you perfect your recipes, and you know, you will just die of money, because everyone needs that particular skill, and it is those skills, the technical, the vocational skills, that are actually yearned for. If it is clothing, you know, I need to appear different from the other person. you see. And if it's that, why not? Why don't I therefore go for that kind of skill that is going to equip me to be that creative, to be, you know, such that people will look at me and they'll just keep on calling me and say, can you also create for me this one? Can you do this for me? Can you do the other? You know, so that is the way to go.
Okay.
So let us change that attitude, let us change that perception, and let us get the best to get into that industry.
Okay.
You know, once you attain that skill is forever yours, till you possibly die.
It will never be invalid.
It can never be invalid. It will remain there, and you will just be, you know, that's like the English say, the sky will be the limit.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, one thing I'm realizing that it might, maybe it might be invalid due to the change of technology. That is, if you abandoned the technology in school.
Of course, if you are a creative person, it
Yes.
means you are always on the lookout.
Okay.
To find out what is trending.
Okay.
And you go for whatever is trending. You can't remain static. That I cook beans and posho the same way my mother taught me. I saw my mother. This is, you can cook posho even
The home
with
recipe.
I mean, not just mingling with the hot water. You can even use milk. You can even use, I mean, it is just creativity that matters. And that is what we are calling for. Let us have people who can be as creative as possible, and the world will be a changed world.
Okay. Well, Mr. Oplot, yes. Talking about all this, there is something you said that it's unfortunate that today there are people who go for vocational education and they sit, get their paper and go away, and they lose out the real intention of this kind of education. But how can technical education programs be tailored to meet the needs of the industries experiencing skills shortage?
First, I'll repeat myself. We must, government oversight agencies, industry, institutions, parents, perhaps even the young people themselves, we must all do the research and agree and identify where the area is, where the needs are. That's number one. Number two, it goes direct to the government. There is an expense involved in technical vocational education. If we leave that sector, I know government runs its own institutions, vocational and technical institutions, but there are more. The majority of people in that sector, learners in that sector, are actually in the private. The challenge is, how do we update our methodologies? How do we update our equipment? Can we get cutting edge? That's the word they use, cutting edge technology. It costs an arm and a leg. And if we pretend and say that private people can handle it at their level, we are burying our head in the sand. This sector has to be supported in many ways, including training and equipping tutors, refresher programs, etc. Then equipping labs and workshops and so on. I mean, imagine around Bwaise, Kalerwe, Kawempe, Wandegea, there could be I don't know how many institutions, tiny little institutions struggling, and they are doing what they can do. But the truth of the matter is, it's overwhelming. So we need support. We need support. We are not asking for, like we're not here to beg or to do anything like that. The reality on the ground is, institutions are not, private institutions are unable to execute their mandate because of the costs involved. So that's the other way. Number three, all of us, beginning from institutions, we must all go on the attack in terms of promoting and changing the perception. When you go, recently I think there was a release of results or something.
Yes.
And some people were saying there that, those of you who have not passed, you try here.
BTVET.
What are you telling the public? that sector is for failures. Which parent, unless they are really highly educated and enlightened, which parent would deliberately, would consciously recommend their children to go to a sector which even government regulators, some people in these positions are saying, you go there if you're failed. That sector should not be for failures. That sector should be, we have already agreed that sector should be for the best of us, because it is where the economy relies on. That's the engine of the economy. If you go to Germany and so on after the Second World War, that's where they invested. Yes, that's where they invested. Unfortunately, Britain was the last person to come to look that direction. And unfortunately, our education system is based on the British model. But Germany, and by the way, even South Africa here, I know many Ugandan families who have sent their children to study in South Africa, not necessarily for degrees, actually for vocational technical levels. And that's where the jobs are. Yeah. So we need to do, we need to go on the attack. We should not be apologetic about this. It shouldn't be said that it's for the failures. No. This should be a first choice. In fact, some Ugandans are beginning to see the light. Just the other day, I was talking to a lady from Masaka. She seems, from her polished English and accent, she seems to be an enlightened parent. The son got Division 1 in O-level. And they have decided as a family and convinced the boy that he should come for technical vocational training. They want him to begin to specialize on a certain set of skills. They still want the boy to go up to university level, but they want him to attain these skills, begin to use those skills, begin to earn and perfect as it goes along. Now, this is a boy who has Division 1 in Senior 4. That is where we should go. Okay. If we don't put our best brains in that sector, we will still continue to be, we will continue to grapple with unemployment.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Oplot. I know time is running out, but Mrs. Oplot, how do you wind up with today's discussion? And probably you tell us how, if someone wanted to enroll to Global, what they need to do and what grade should they be having?
Okay. First and foremost, I want to encourage us, encourage everyone, let it be upon each one of us to yearn for technical and vocational skilling. It is very critical, it's very important, whether you're a person of a different profession, that should be an added skill. Every one of us should yearn for it. So if we did that, actually I would, if it were within my ability, I would possibly say maybe between either, you know, at some point in the education system, maybe the students go for vocational or technical skilling for 1 or 2 years, and then they progress to the next level. Yeah, I wish it were possible. That would be very good and be very helpful. Otherwise, at Global Institute, we admit certificates, that is a person who will have finished S4, then diplomas for a person who has finished S6. We have IT courses, we have business courses, we have media courses. All of them we are admitting. Right now there is an intake that is ongoing, and there will be May, June intake, there will be September intake. But right now there is an intake. The numbers to call are 0772 51 63 54 or 0702 51 63 54. You will be welcome at Global Institute, found here at Kubiri on Bombo Road.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Oplot. Thank you so much, Mr. Oplot. And you, our viewer, thank you so much for choosing to watch us. Edrinos and Mukalazi is my name. I've worked with Jonan, Didmas, and very many other people out there to see that you have the very best of this image. From the entire team, it's a good night. It's a good night from the entire team.
From us.